Test one two, 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 test one two. Good evening, I am Juanki and welcome to my world. It's a cornucopia of stuff. Let me fix this real quick. Excuse me, pardon me that my delay. I have so much going on over here in this computer. So some folks were asking, where's the New Year's Eve? Where's the New Year's Eve? I had to go into the editing apparatus and update some of the and edit some of the stuff because we were very salacious that night. So I went ahead and I took care of that, and then I underestimated how much the rendering was going to be. So shortly after this live concludes, I will be uploading the New Year's Eve extravaganza. I want to thank everybody who came through and gave us love on that 31st of December. I'm going to be uploading all the way up to the countdown, okay? Because we got really salacious at the end. So we're going to leave that alone. So anyway, thank you for being here. I'm coming through with... So we've been doing this every night since December 1st, okay? Every night since December 1st, I've been coming to you in some sort of capacity, 90% of the time with an advice seeker, right? So I tested, we did some audience testing with the segment last year, all of December, and I thought it was going to be a good segment. So moving forward from now on, we're going to be doing this hopefully a couple of times a week. So because I saw that you guys were showing a lot of interest in this. Plus it gets me to talk a little bit about my own experience. So we're going to start today. These are questions, advice seekers that I find in the net. So usually what happens is I'll read their question or their bullet, and then I'll go ahead and read some of the replies, and then I fill it in with some of my own experience, okay? So you get to hear a little bit about everything. With that said, please hit the like button, and let's get to it, okay? This one says, this person says, what the hell does an quote office job actually entails? This person writes, you're at a computer, you're writing and reading emails, you're sitting through meetings, and you're working with spreadsheets. That sounds vaguely appalling to me, but the description is so broad that I don't really understand it. It's like saying that the job of an artiste is to make art. It's technically correct, but not enough information to dedicate yourself to. So, what specific fields and positions exist? What are the examples of specific tasks? If you're working with spreadsheets, what's actually going into those spreadsheets? Stuff like that. If someone reading this works in an office and can just describe what you did today, even if you fucking hated it and want to complain, I will really appreciate it. Drop a bomb on that, okay? And this is a New Yorker asking other New Yorkers. So when it comes down to complaining, they hit the jackpot, right? Okay. So I'm gonna read some of the replies, and then I'm gonna give you my Juanki view and Juanki thoughts on office jobs. Okay. Someone says, I was an engineer, so I was usually working on calculation spreadsheets and the report for the client. To be honest, it really does get boring after a while. In my job, I found myself almost the same thing, doing the same thing every day. Eventually, I nubbed out, and I'm now trying to do something else. I was a fully chartered engineer. That means he was like really in control. Fully chartered means that he was actually in charge of other engineers under him. So he was kind of like a supervisor overseeing, which would explain why he was working on spreadsheets and reports and all that, because he was overseeing a team. That's what I get from her response. Somebody else says, I am a mechanical engineer. Oh, all these engineers have so much time on their hands to be on the web reading and posting, right? But they go on to say, I am a mechanical engineer, and my day to day looks a bit different. I would say I have an even split between actively designing using CAD software. For those of you guys who don't know, CAD software is a software that you use to design rooms, buildings, um, uh, yeah, rooms, buildings, anything that has like walls, ceiling, floors, and even electric furniture. That's the CAD system. It's used in engineering and in designing. Software drawing the parts assemblies I design using the same software, entering all parts and assemblies into a software we use to generate pick lists, among other things, and doing assorted paperwork stuff, making operator manuals, printing and double checking pick lists, making approval drawings for clients. The last part is pretty boring, but the rest is enjoyable. I also spent some time using a CAM software to make programs for our CNC machines, and also going out in the shop to deal with problems, answer questions. The mechanist. Ooh, I've never heard that. The mechanist. Welders, assemblers have, but that is a smaller part of my job. I do miss working more with my hands. All my previous jobs, including my engineering internship, were more like that. But overall, I like my job. My coworkers are all nice people that are cool to work with, and I am not completely exhausted at the end of the day, which is important to me since I have a lot of hobbies, and I also feel a bit of a caretaker role for my wife, who is chronically ill. My friends had internships with who I went to school or had internships with have similar jobs that also involve design. But I also know people who got stuck doing paperwork all day, so it can really vary. So they're trying to give this person examples of what an office job would entail. All right. Someone else says, everyone's office jobs are different. It completely depends on the field. While my general tasks are the same every project I work, we need this person to correct their spelling. Okay. While my general tasks are the same, every project I work is unique in its own way. Thankfully, my job is mostly spreadsheets and analytics using in-house software for supplier pricing. Also, my job only involves a few meetings a week, and emails are limited to a few dozen a day at most. Drop a bomb on that. Oh my God. Emailing. God. Per our meeting, I'm following up with this email to summarize the previous conversation. Here are the minutes for the meeting that we just had. All right, and then I'm going to read one last one, and then I will give you my Juanki thoughts, my Juanki views, and some stories from my office days. All right. Someone says, it's a completely different social skill set as well. You have zero upward. Oh, this is somebody who's angry. They're so angry. You have zero upward mobility without knowing how to play the game. Not true. You likely struggle to even keep your job if you don't know how to play the productive game and present well to your supervisors. Well, I mean, if you're not doing your job, you're not going to get upward mobility. And if you don't get along with your supervisors, well, how long do you think you're going to last there, right? It's so much more complex of work. It's so much more complex of work than many other positions, with much more vague moving goalposts and soft skills required, like understanding that your direct bosses need for the deliverables versus the other stuff your training might be focused on. I mentioned it because office jobs is nebulous. You need good, often very fake people skills to thrive. Your productivity, usefulness has almost no bearing on your career track. Not true. Being too good at your job is the fastest way to kill your own advancement. Drop a bomb on that. I don't know where the hell this person has been working at, but that hasn't been my case. At least not always. It comes with the regular existential crisis where you both think yourself are irreplaceable, while alternatively feeling like what you do has no value, etc. And the poster says to this, and then I'm going to go into my own view of this. Says, "Damn, this is depressing to read, but true." No, it's not. No, it's not. Now let me give you a little taste. So I'm surprised that there was only one bitter person in the group. The other people seem to actually provide good information. It sounds like this person is coming straight out of school. Oh, am I spinning? Spinning. Let me just take a look right here. I am okay. Sorry about that. The spinning. The spin of death, right? So it sounds like this person is trying to go in the field. Maybe they're a college graduate, a recent college graduate, or some sort. My experience in the work field, well, it's no secret. I made it very public that I used to be in the arts, the theater arts. So my first working experience was actually in the theater business. I worked there as a performer. I was on tour for 15, 18 years, different companies. And then I transitioned from that to, like after 10 years, I transitioned into performing, but also doing production work. So I was a production manager for one of the theater companies. Then I became one of the producers. Then I became a stage manager. And eventually I worked my way up to being the business manager, i.e. I was booking the tours, visiting the theaters, doing all of that, the contracts, all of that, right? So in that, I got a chance to work in the office setting. That I would say is a little different because you're working in the arts where people are very in touch with their emotions. Drop a bomb on that. Everything could be a crisis, but it could also be a very rewarding, a very fulfilling, very fun environment to be in. Not too serious, except when it's time to be serious. And it was good quality work, I would say. Once I left that world and I started dabbling into the actual corporate America world, I had the skills that I needed because of my previous training, obviously. But I did find myself, one thing that I would say, and I worked in all sorts of environments. I worked in office settings where there were just 15 people year round, the whole time. Just 15 people worked in the office, to 25 people worked in the office, to an organization that in my building had about 400 people, but it was nationwide. So nationwide, we had like 5,000 people. Drop a bomb on that. Okay. So one thing that I would say is consistent from all settings, minus the theater, because like I said, in theater, people are more in the arts, people are more in touch with their emotions and their feelings, and it's a little bit more appropriate. But in the corporate world, one thing that I did come across a lot was unstable people. Drop a bomb on that. What do you mean with unstable people? People that needed to be medicated, definitely medicated, and people who were medicated, definitely medicated. All right. People who had issues at home and didn't know how to leave their ish at the door. People who were, I guess, when the minute they walked into the office, since they have a horrible life and they don't have any outlets, they don't have any hobbies, they're tired of their kids, their children are in jail, their husband is cheating on them, she's ugly and overweight, she's just angry and mean, and she's just gonna come here and make sure everybody has a horrible day. Drop a bomb on that. Okay, that's when the politics come into play. I've always been somebody who focused just on my work. I try to leave, all the drama outside my door. I've had my own office where I could close my door, slide my glass door. I've also sat in the hallway, outside the office of the VP or the CEO of the company. And I was like the bouncer, okay? And by default, they thought I was the assistant, which I wasn't. But they thought because I was right outside his door. And so I've been in all sorts of environments. But the one consistent thing is no matter what the task is, you gotta be able to enjoy what you're doing. Coming from theater and coming from the arts, I'm okay with redundancy. I'm okay with doing the same thing over and over and over. I mean, in theater, that's what we get paid for, right? And then you find your own groove, your own sense of the work and how to make it a little bit different. We're still yielding the same results that are expected of you. You know what I mean? But I love me doing some numbers. I love me doing a repetitive task because it's for me it's kind of like certain. At the same time, I like to have positions where you're doing something repetitive. You have the deliverables. Monday through Friday, you have the things that you have to get accomplished. But once in a while they'll throw a project at you. Like, oh, we're expanding an office. Can you take over this project? And so you're doing like a temporary thing that has a beginning, a middle, and end. And so you can do all the work that you do, maybe even burn out, but then it's an end, and then you can go ahead and go on to something else or recharge. You recharge by doing something else or going back to your day-to-day tasks. So, you just have to jump in there and try it and see what it is. It's so many different variables that you can't really get advice from, like, okay, this is what it is and you're gonna like it. No, because you can have tasks that you like, but have people, like I said, that needed to be medicated, they were under medicated or over medicated, and then are designed to just be bitter and make everybody else around them bitter. So it doesn't matter if you like the job that you're doing, you want to be out. This is one of the reasons why sometimes people see that performers leave a certain show or a good running show, especially like on Broadway. Why would you leave a good running show that pays you between $2,000 to $5,000 a week? Yes, those are the union salaries on Broadway. Why would somebody leave? Well, they're leaving because their heart is just no longer in it. The people they work with is no longer fun to be with, and so it's the same situation. Why people leave high-paying jobs in corporate America? Because it becomes, the people they have to deal with, and then as somebody who's seasoned, somebody who has credentials, somebody who has experience, I'm not putting up with this ish. Hell no. I did not go to school. I did not, kiss ass through my internship. I did not make the dean's list. I did not sit on some junior boards. I did not got socially involved to build my credentials, to sit here and have to deal with this under-medicated bitch who's coming in here, and because she ain't got no man, her children hate her. She is unmedicated and undiagnosed. Though she has health insurance, she refuses to sit with a goddamn therapist, and she wants to come over here, and because you're shining, because you come in with a smile, because you see the cup half full and not half empty, because you actually have a date after work, you have where to go, because you're trail setting, because you are traveling. Okay, you take your vacation because you're able to unplug and disconnect, because you get your work done within the set amount of hours they give you. You don't got to take the laptop home. Oh, I got to talk to technology to see if I could I could VPN this weekend so I could finish the project. No, you could get everything done in the period of time that you're dedicating for this, because you have a life, because you don't walk in and go get a little bit of water and don't care to hear about the daughter, the granddaughter, the child, the niece, the nephew. We went to this weekend. What did you? I don't want to hear any of that shit. This is a job. Okay? This is a job. They are paying me to get A, B, C, D, P done. And I'm going to get it done and clocks the F out. Hello, Miss Nubiology. Nice to see you. Happy New Year. This is the new segment, Nubiology. We have New Year, New Me. Drop a bomb on that. Okay? We are pumping out the content. I have been live every single day since December 1st, 2025. Thank you. Thank you. I am uploading our New Year's Eve show. We had a New Year's Eve. We were on here for 4 hours. I'm only uploading the first 2 hours because so that should be uploaded sometime today or tomorrow. YouTube's taking forever to do it. So make sure you guys check that out. But returning to the advice. returning to the advice, what I would say is, young person, because I can tell this is either a college student or jump in, get your experience. If you like something, and if something is challenging, I remember I got a job once, right? I've always moved my way up, right? Move my way up. I'm currently. What are you currently doing? Well, I currently sleep with the CEO. I currently sleep with the CEO and do all of the books. That's the highlight of my trajectory of my resume. But before I got to, because I married the CEO, so before I got to marry the CEO, I worked my way up through many different jobs, right? And some were great. Some were great until people made it not great anymore. But I always work my way up. Always try to challenge yourself. If you wanna, don't just focus on the job you have. Focus on the next steps. When you're checking out the places, you want to see good interview questions. Very often people go to interviews and they don't ask any questions. When they turn around and say, "Do you have any questions for us?" Yes, ask the money question. Obviously, New York now passed a law that before you go sit in that interview, they have to tell you how much the position is, all across the board. It has to be listed in the job description and in the posting, so it's no mystery. When I was interviewing, I had jobs where the interview, the salary was a mystery. I hated seeing compensation based on experience, or send us your if I saw a job listing that says for us to send your requirement or send your work history, your pay history, that was automatically a no, because that's them trying to fucking jack you around before you even get in there. That or interviews where you went and they wanted to give you a project. They give you a whole project, an issue that the company is dealing with right now, and they want you to come back, because they'll do like 2, 3, 4 interviews, 4 rounds, and they want you to come and do a presentation, a presentation, and you're not getting paid for this, and they're taking your idea. They want you to solve their issue in their company, and you may or may not get this job. Drop a bomb on that. That's the corporate greed right there. I don't do interviews like that. I think actually I had a director position, not a theater director, but a director for the department, where they asked me to do a little project, and I did it. I didn't spend more than an hour on it. I did it. I did end up getting the job, but it feels waste. It feels like now more and more jobs are requiring you to do this, and it's like you shouldn't be doing work for free for these companies. You absolutely shouldn't. And when you are in an interview, you should ask questions. When they turn around and say, "Do you have any questions for us?" Many times people don't have any questions. They're like a deer in headlights. And I always say have like 3 or 4 questions, with the last one being what are the next steps, but you should definitely ask, like, what are the challenges that you see? How long do people stay? Who's the longest person here to like the more like the, so because that's very telling of the environment. Do you have a high turnover? Like all of that. Why if this is a position that they're rehiring for, what happened to the last person in the position? If they say, they got promoted, that right there is telling you there's upward mobility, especially in the position that you're going for, rather than they left. Makes you think a little, why did they leave? You know what I'm saying? Why? What are some of the challenges? What is your expectations? Within the first 6 months, what will be some of the factors that will determine if the person in this role is being successful? At 12 months, when you look at the position in a 12-month span, what would make you say that the person has been successful in the last 12 months? Like you're picking their brain. And if for any reason they have not given you, because I realize that I'm always talking to New York, and there's people that watch me all over the country. So there's other places that don't have the New York rules where they have to tell you before you go to the job interview how much it pays. If they haven't discussed that, you always say, or if they ask you, what salary are you looking for? always flip it around and say what has been budgeted for the position. That way, you're not out there saying, a number when they have budgeted a much larger range. And it's always a range. Jobs are, they always have a range. Always have a range. What has been budgeted? What is the range? And if they give you a range and you still don't want to give, because, you don't want to lock yourself into a number at the very beginning of the conversation. If they give you a range, oh, this is the range from this to that, and it's within your range, so that's within range. Obviously, everybody always wants to go to the higher part of the range, but you also have to remember when there's a range is because, especially if there's a job, for example, that says, we would like these skill sets and this training and experience, but let's say, we will see somebody with a 4-year education to a master's degree. Do you see how the range is there, right? If you did a 4-year, you're going to get the lower end. If you have a master's, you're going to get the higher end. If you have a master's and maybe going on your PhD, they might even give you more because of your education component right there, or experience. If they say we're looking for somebody anywhere between 7 to 15 years, 7 to 15 years is a big range. So obviously, if you're in the 7 area, if you're in the 10 area, you're going to be lower in the range than if you were in the 17, 20-year range. You know what I mean? So you got to keep all of that in mind. But in terms of job office settings, I find that very often positions that are new could be a double-edged sword. I did a lot of new positions where the company was developing a new role because they saw the need. They did not know what it was going to look like, and they needed somebody with all these skills so that this person can help shape and mold. So I had a lot of positions. I would say at least 4 of my positions where I was the first person in the role, and I was able to work with upper management and develop the role, and then I was promoted to something else, and then I helped hire and train, and then that role then became more solidified. I like those type of roles, and those are fun type of roles because it's kind of like the mystery, you're here, you're doing this, but there's so many different things that you can touch and see, and you can, the stuff like that. If you say, okay, I'm not really good at this part, you can talk to your superiors and management and say, okay, I don't think this task makes sense for this role. I was able to do that and shape all these different roles, positions. I will say you always have to give it a try, right? You try, if you don't, you give it a try, and then you turn around and tell them this is not working. This is not going to work. Don't say no right away. If they hire you to be a project coordinator or an assistant of some sort or whatever, and they want you to sit up in the front desk and pick up the phone, well, that's called a receptionist. Drop a bomb on that. That's a receptionist. Did you apply for a receptionist job? Or did you apply for an administrative assistant or project coordinator? What did you apply for? And then you could have that conversation with the superiors. It's like, okay, I understand that there's a need. I understand that there's a gap. We need to figure out, maybe there's a temp agency we can get, or if this is like a nonprofit, maybe we can get one of the participants and do a shift. But I don't think that I'm being useful by sitting at the front desk welcoming people and picking up the phone when I'm supposed to be coordinating X, Y, and Z, or handling this or handling that. Or, you figure it out. You see why it doesn't work, clean it up, and present it to the people who are in charge and let them see, like, this is not going to work. For example, one time early in my career, I was hired to do some administrative work, right? And yes, you would think that administrative work covers answering the phone. However, when I went to the interviews, I had like 3 interviews. When I went to the first interview, it was over the computer or over the phone. I think it was over the phone. Then the second interview was face to face, and then the third one, which is going to be the final interview, was also face to face with like the top leadership, right? So I came in, and there's a whole receptionist up in the front. There's a waiting area, a whole receptionist. They transferring calls a whole 9. They bring me to the boardroom or whatever, to the meeting room, and do my thing. So I know there's a receptionist. I get hired. Nowhere in the job description did it say that I was going to be answering phones. I get hired, and part of my task is handling numbers, handling budgets, helping with payroll. That's part of the task. So I'm dealing with numbers, meaning I need to be focused, right? I need to be focused, and I'm doing math and all of that. And then they needed coverage for the phone when the receptionist would go to lunch for 1 hour. Drop a bomb on that. And so the receptionist was on a different floor. The suite had 3 floors. I was in the executive floor. So the receptionist would then forward the phone to my desk phone. And I'm here paying bills, doing numbers and the whole night. And now I've got to be like, and that lasted 1 week. Because I turned around to my superiors, and I ain't no shame in my game, but I said, okay, I'm not comfortable with the phone. I did not know that this was going to be part of the task, and I understand this is a new role, but I'm surprised by that, because I need to be focused. If I'm dealing with budgets, if I'm dealing with contracts, if I'm dealing with numbers, I cannot be picking up the phone. And they were a little bit resistant, so I put the phone on do not disturb. Drop a bomb on that. I'm not picking up that phone. When the receptionist would go to lunch, guess what? Guess who was going to lunch now? I remember we were in different floors, so it was, guess who's at lunch now? Guess who's on a call? All my calls, everything, meetings, where I will make sure that I was booked. And so a few months later, because I was doing such a good job in the other areas, they sat down, talked to me to increase a little bit more of the task and also of the pay, and to talk about what was working. And I made sure that then I said, we need to get rid of this whole, I don't answer the phones. I can't, because I'm doing numbers. So when he goes to lunch, it was a guy, usually goes right into voicemail, because I'm on calls, I'm paying bills, so I just can't do it. So I needed to be clear that I'm not the one to be answering the phone. And because the work was good, they went ahead and did it. All right. I say all this to say, and I'm going to get off shortly. We've been on already for a while. As advice, just jump in it. See something that you like, jump in it, and be flexible. Be flexible to change. Be flexible to try things that you may or may not like. Once you identify that you don't like them, have the open discussion in a professional manner, in a professional setting. Always go with, I don't think my time is being spent properly, or I don't think me getting paid to do this makes sense, or I think that this task could be moved to somebody else, but like more equipped or whatever. And then once it doesn't work, when these people around the water cooler are pissing you the F off, and you don't want to deal with them, you don't want to hear about the kids. I don't want to hear about the kids. I don't want to hear the cat. I don't want to hear about the weekend. I don't want to hear about your medicine. I don't want to hear about your therapist. I don't want to hear about nothing. Okay, when you're sick of them, that's when you go to that and you start sending your stuff out. Okay, when you start seeing the writing on the wall, start searching, because good jobs take a while to get. They absolutely do. Every job that I've had that's been good, that's a good job, Savannah. It took me anywhere between 6 to 9 months to 12 months to book. Sending every week or every other week. Takes a while to find the perfect fix. To find the perfect fit. The perfect fit. So make sure that you do your due diligence. You are, we have so much technology now and so much information. Glassdoor has reviews of people at jobs. They go there and they vent about what is working and not working in their job. So make sure you do the research beyond just looking at the website and getting some pointers. Like, really dig deep and see if this is an environment that you want to be in. If you are a person of color or minority or a woman, go look at their leadership. If you're a woman and you go to the leadership page, and it's all bunch of white men, do you think? But if you go to the page and it's very diverse on the top leadership, the CEOs, the VPs, the C-level executives, the program people, and you see like, oh, this is very diverse. Okay. Anyway, I want to thank everybody who came through. We are going to try to do this every night. Drop a bomb on that. Yeah, seeking advice, reading the posts, reading some of the other posts, and then giving you a little bit of my Juanki view. Okay. All right, I want to thank you for coming through. Please watch out. If you didn't catch the New Year's Eve and you want to watch it, I'm going to re-upload it. I know it's kind of over now, but Incredible Hulk and I had a mini impromptu podcast at the beginning. So Incredible Hulk is joining me the whole time. And then I'll do the countdown. I did get a little tipsy too. I got a little tipsy. Y'all just need to watch it. Miss Nubiale says, blessings to those still on the grind, but thank God I'm retired. Yes. Yes, Miss Nubi. I mean, can I put it up there? Yes. Blessings to those still on the grind, but thank God I am retired. Yes, 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 yes. Whew. Retirement. I'm so tired. I'm ready. I think that by the time I crawl to retirement, I'm just going to be like, I'm here. Now what? Like, I'm here. Now what? Hulk says, oh my God, I can't wait to retire. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Newbie. I'm going to have another live, Miss Newbie, and I want to ask you a couple of questions now that you're retired. I.e., for example, did you miss it? Did you miss it, Miss Newbie? Did you miss it? The grind, the hamster wheel. Did you miss it? Did you wake up and you're like, I should be doing something now, but I'm like laying here. Did you miss it? Incredible Hulk says, I want to retire before I reach 40. Drop a bomb on that. I don't know if Newbie is still here. Let's see if she heard my question. But just a few minutes and see if she heard my question. But in the words of retirement, retirement, a lot of people are scared of retirement because they say that they feel like their body declines, but that's not necessarily. Like, if you stay active, I'm more concerned about retiring and having to change your lifestyle because the income is not there. You know what I mean? That's why it's so important to invest. That's so important for you to have your 401k, let it do its thing. Oh, Nubi's here. Okay, thank you, Miss Nubi. She says, sometimes, but I've learned to occupy my time. Okay, excellent. With that said, I want to thank everybody who came through. I'm going to retire to my bedroom chamber right now. That's what I'm going to do. Thank you for being here, and I will see you on the next video. I'm going to try to upload this New Year's Eve stuff now. See you guys. Be safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.